And I even point to it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you should ride today. We'll get it on the next one.
Yeah.
Run the camera a little bit. Okay, cool. We're live, so we're gonna give people a second or two to hop on. And I'm gonna pull this up so I can see people who's commenting what. Cool. So we're up, we're good, we're rolling. So looks like Rocky Tolly just hopped on. But anyways, as you guys hop on, let us know that you can see and hear us. Let us know where you're tuning in from and what lines of insurance you specialize in. We're gonna give people a few minutes to hop on. Chris and I are gonna chat a little bit, kind of shoot the breeze until you guys all get on there. I think there should be a broadcast going out that will let you guys know that it's live. So we should have a bunch hopping on here real quick. And then I do want to mention someone from my team is going to drop a link there that you can click so we can see your profile picture and name so we know who commented what. So kind of like this, you'll be able to see that as opposed to just a comment from a viewer. So we want to know who you are. So Chris, how's it going? Where are you at currently? I know you've been traveling like crazy. What's going on?
I'm at home now in Atlanta. I have been for the last couple of weeks. I'm headed out to Charleston and Savannah next week, and then North Alabama the week after that. And that's basically it for the year.
Sweet. Okay, so a little travel left still, but
yeah.
And then hopefully get a chill in Atlanta a little bit during December. I'll be up there around the holidays, so hopefully we can maybe meet up. But then I'll be right after New Year hopping back down to warm Florida because it's already cold in Atlanta. Apparently, I hear it's already like 30s in the mornings and stuff, which I never want to see a 3 starting the temperature. So
I'm actually getting ready to spend a lot of time in Florida because my brother relocated to Florida because that's where his engineering company's at.
Oh,
that's where I'm going to kind of keep our Florida office when we do a lot of our education stuff.
What part of Florida?
Tampa.
Okay. Yeah, that's a couple hours north. We've been to go up there anyways to hang out with Jeff O'Neill and plan some stuff out with him up there. So he could actually have you ever connected with him? He might be a good, pretty cool.
What's his last name?
Too. Jeff O'Neill. He runs the Wholesale Lead Network, but does a ton of PNC stuff cross nation for PNC leads, but all lines and stuff. But also car dealerships around the country too. But he has a lot of PNC agent and agency connections with doing all those leads and stuff. So as you're doing all that flood, I know just connecting with PNC agents is perfect for you. So
that's actually where most of our business comes from now.
All right, we got Tyler on here as well. Tyler, if you can lower your camera just a slight bit so we can get your head up a little higher.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Everybody's got a hat on. Well, since we are talking about content, I should probably throw on one too. And we all know content is king.
Yeah.
I'm prepped. I'm ready. We're going to talk about content today and why content's king, the difference it can make for your business. Let me pull up Renee too. So we got a full panel and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So I know more people will be hopping on too. So, but we'll go ahead and get stuff rolling. We don't want to make people wait too long. So everybody, today we'll be talking all a bit about killing it with content creation, why content's important, what is content, difference of syndicating others versus creating your own, the benefits of content in general for your business, as well as specifically how these guys have used it, and then also the benefits of video content in particular as well. So we'll talk about a lot of stuff. We'll see where the conversation goes. We'll keep it pretty open. People that are watching this, feel free to drop in the comments any questions, any comments. In fact, I'm going to give out a few prizes today too. I'm going to give out some Trip Valet certificates for travel, and as well as a free month of our insurance marketing toolkit for someone to have. And so what I'll probably do for that is throw some pieces of content that you guys have done in the comments, or any pieces that you've created or something like that. And we'll take a look for insurance specifically, for your insurance agency or company. And any of the pieces that we like, I'll send out some AAA certificates, and one of the top ones we'll pick for giving a free month in insurance marketing toolkit, because we want to see what you guys are doing too, and how you guys are leveraging content, as that's what we'll be discussing today. So a little housekeeping, and I'll introduce these guests, and we'll get rocking and rolling. There will be a link in the comments that you guys can click on so we can see your name and your your profile picture and everything, so it doesn't say just comment from viewer. I think that was Danny. So Danny, hi, welcome. I see that you're in LA. Danny, there will be a link. If you can click that, we'll be able to actually see your profile picture and everything. So someone from my team will drop that real quick. We'll also drop a link to the email highlights so you can catch recordings of videos like these, as well as all the top stuff from the group each week. So make sure you get those. And then we'll drop a bunch of other stuff, the free resources and other stuff you can check out, and a few other things I'll mention. So we have two very amazing guests today here with us, all about talking about killing it with content creation. Tyler's got like 8 videos in the lobby going on, so I'm not sure which one's the real one, and if it looks like the one on air is not. So let me try this again. But here we go. I'll get Tyler back on. There we go. So first guest is we have Chris Greene here. Chris, you want to go ahead and short introduction, who you are, what you do, and let them know who you are.
My name is Chris Greene, president and owner of the Flood Insurance Guru. We specialize in flood insurance, flood education, flood consulting across the country. I hold a master's degree in emergency management with a focus in hazard and flood mitigation, and I'm in the process of becoming a certified floodplain manager.
Perfect. So everything flood. This is the guy you want to talk to, anything about flood insurance. So PNC agents in particular, connect with this guy. He will be an immeasurably valuable resource for you and referral partners. So we'll get into that in a little bit more as well. Tyler, who are you? Hopefully this video is working, and let us know.
Yeah, I am the currently injured insurance agent. No, I'm actually live from my bed because I hurt my back yesterday. So in any case, so I'm Tyler Ramer. I run an independent agency as well as PNC Revolution. I help agents all over the place with social media, lead generation and sales. And I'm also called the king of insurance memes because a lot of my content is funny or meme based and stuff like that. So if you're looking to learn how to generate your own business without depending on outside lead sources and things like that, or looking to tighten down your sales process and stop losing people on price, that's kind of what I do. But I draw those people in with good content.
Yeah, Tyler's got an awesome organic social media course. If you're looking how to rock it on social without ads, check that out. We'll drop a link to that for sure. And then Tyler, you obviously also have your own agency, which you apply content to.
Yeah, everything I teach, I do.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the importance of content to your business as well as Chris, and talking about the Flood Insurance Guru and how he's built that up as well. And then, of course, we have my partner in crime here, Renee. Never know what he's going to do and say on these lives or give away, so he's here and will be great as part of the conversation, as well as he's been around content creation for quite a while too. So
just FYI, you can't see him.
We can't see him. I can see him.
I can see the top of his head.
Can't see him.
So I can see him on the stream. I just can't see him in the Be Live app. So this is what the stream looks like right now.
Okay.
So it's showing everybody.
So I think he's showing on the stream. Maybe inside the Be Live you can't see him. Renee,
Yeah.
nod your head if you're not frozen. Okay, he's there. He's good. So I think people can see him. So let's roll, guys. I'm ready to dive into this and really talk about everything here. So I'll get both of your takes on this, Chris and Tyler, and we'll kind of keep the conversation just kind of going all about content and everything. So, people hear this a lot. People's content's king. It's all about content. You need to create content. You need to use content. But at its most basic level, what is content? What do you guys consider content? What, when you hear content, what do you think of? And, kind of really describing it to the agents out there. They're like, does that just mean I post a picture on my social? Does that mean I need to write long articles? Like, what is content?
I wasn't sure who was supposed to go first.
It don't matter to me. Someone go for it.
So the word content in and of itself is really broad. I mean, if you look at just like a Facebook page, anything you put up is quote unquote content. And so the most important part of your content is the context and who you're targeting with it. So, when I put up a post once about, a friend of mine getting sued because his insurance company gave him a bad policy and his son hit somebody. That was content, but it was a certain type of content. And every time I put up a meme that entertains people, whether it's work related or not, that is content. And so for me, the word content is really broad. For me, it's more, I think a lot more about what kind of content am I putting out and, what am I making my audience digest? Because that the content that you put out sort of shapes their view of you on social.
Absolutely. The content really does shape your view, and that's why it can be very important on building your brand, because it's shaping their view of you and your company. So, Chris, I mean, what do you consider content?
To me, see, when I think of content, I think of value. I think of answering questions, and that's actually where most of our content comes from. Is I take every single question we get every single day, put it in the notes of my phone, and that's actually where 99% of our video content comes from. You know, if you can create that content of just simply answering your audience's question, then the content's going to do very well. But then also finding a way to have your audience ask the questions they didn't know to ask.
Absolutely. I mean, content really helps you pull out, you know, what common questions and issues your audience have, and being able to answer those and overcome those objections through your content's important. Building the brand through your content, and then, you know, it really keeps you in front of that audience. I mean, people have very short memories, very short attention spans, and after a few minutes, they forgot who they even talked to, what they wore, any of that. So staying constantly in front of them is key. And you can't, I mean, you can just run all ads all day and do ad spend on ads all day to try and stay in front of your audience. But really, content's a very effective and cost-effective way to do that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Renee, why don't you hop in? You know, what do you think of content?
I think content is king, right? You know, we've done tons of content for, you know, over 200 agents on a monthly basis, and those that were consistent with providing content, and not only just content, but content that had a value, like Chris had mentioned. You know, it just helps move the needle. It helps keep people engaged.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it really promotes that engagement, that activity, them interacting with you, which builds trust, which helps you kind of learn what any hesitations they would have are, what their common, you know, objections are, and being able to overcome those and stuff, as well as just provide educational value to them, help them understand it better, and they're going to come to you if they've been interacting and seeing your content over time. So, yeah, let's kind of hop on from there. So, you know, we've talked already a little, you know, bit briefly about that, but, you know, what are some of the benefits of content? Why should someone look at this as opposed to, you know, just going out and networking a ton, or, you know, just buying leads and stuff? You know, what's the benefit of creating content for yourself, your brand, your company, or using others' content as well? Just any content in general. What's the benefits? Tyler, you want
I think your content is your brand.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're putting out that original content, that is building your brand, building your authority. You know, that's where I kind of get onto some insurance companies that they share all the same generic content. And I have 3 goals as I'm doing this whole content journey this year: shoot locally, answer local questions, and address local issues. Because honestly, bigger companies aren't doing that. Their content is very generic most of the time, especially on flood. They're like, hey, want to look at flood insurance? Let us show you how we can lower it. Instead of, hey, let us show you how we can lower your flood insurance in Tampa, Florida, you know, in these particular areas. And to me, that's where big companies are failing.
That's right.
Absolutely. Tyler?
Yeah. So, say that. What was the question? It was, why is content important?
Just benefits of content. I mean,
benefits of content. Okay. So there are more than one benefits, and Chris is absolutely right. It helps build your brand. And so to expand on that, there are 2 things that if you're producing regular content, especially original, like he said, there are 2 things you're going to be doing. One is repetition.
Looks like he froze up.
He did freeze. Okay, so we'll move off that. So I'll get him back on.
Yeah,
but
let me jump in, David.
Someone brought up. I'll say what? Renee?
No, so let me jump in since Tyler froze up here.
Yeah, go for it.
If we look at like Chris's shirt, right, the flood insurance guru. I mean, if anybody knows anything about flood insurance, they know that Chris is the guru, right? Because he creates original content and he positions himself through that content as a subject matter expert.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tyler, you're back. You want to continue?
Yeah. Sorry, the app just keeps crashing. So in any case, so like kind of again to expand on what Chris said, and Renee said it too, you make yourself an authority by being repetitious. So when somebody sees your content 7, 8, 10, 20 times, your name becomes synonymous with that word. if anybody in Douglas County, where I'm at, says the word insurance, somebody's going to say my name. Also, like I said earlier, it shapes their view of you. There's an important facet in communication in general, whether it's through content or in personal communication, in that people may not always remember what you said, what you look like, what you sound like, or what you wore, but they will remember how you made them feel. And if you're putting out good content that makes them feel good, they're going to associate subconsciously positive emotions with you. So when they read a post about insurance that's really informative, that they actually care about, they're like, wow, that was really cool. And like they've read it 3 or 4 times from you. Every time they think of you, they're going to think of you as an expert, which is kind of what these guys said. Or if you're like me, you also throw some humor into the mix. All they're going to remember in 10 years, if they look back and they hadn't talked to me 10 years, they're going to go, I don't remember everything Tyler said or did, but man, he was funny and
And he's frozen again. So issues with his phone. But someone did comment something that I'm interested in hearing your opinions on. They're laughing about, asking about, hearsay social post. What do you guys think about like hearsay, life happens, different stuff that kind of creates content that agents can use? Granted, it's kind of all the same content that a bunch can use, but what do you think of that for agents? Is it worth going beyond that? Is it worth just using and pulling stuff off there? Is that better than nothing? What do you guys kind of think? Obviously, hearsay is pretty big, especially in the captive world.
Well, here's the problem, and I see this a lot because I'm friends with a lot of insurance agents on LinkedIn. I'm friends with a lot of insurance agents on Facebook, and you can tell when they're using things like hearsay because they're all posting the exact same thing. Like they're not changing the images. They're not changing a single word. And so it can almost hurt you if you're not careful. Now, the average consumer is not, thinking the way we're thinking. But at the same time, it probably is better than nothing. But you have to be careful about that. Hey, the guy down the street is providing the exact same content as you. How are you more valuable than them? Or how are you valuable in a different way? 100%. You're not showing me that. You're not giving me a reason of how you're separating yourself.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think it could be a good starting base and maybe some good content to fill along with your other content if you don't have enough time to create a bunch. But I mean, obviously there's other great areas to syndicate content from as well. I know a great resource that we've used a bunch. I'm trying to remember the name of I think it might be Feedly. Or something where you can basically pick out a bunch of different news sources and articles and different stuff like that that'll pull in for different topics and stuff, and then you can go through and find interesting ones, post it, use that as a piece of content along with your thoughts, or just starting a discussion or asking a question of your audience. I mean, that's something you can pull stuff from. So I mean, you don't have to create every single piece of content, but the most valuable content you use and do is going to be that individual content that you've created, I believe. I mean, do you guys agree with that? Do you think it's just as effective just to source and syndicate content from other places and use that as your content, or do you think there really is a huge benefit and worth the time and investment of creating your own content?
I think the original. I think is just massive.
Yeah. Tyler?
I think original is best. So, and I think there's a line that you could walk. So like whenever you look at like a captive agent's like Facebook page, they always have pre-approved posts through like Hearsay Social or some of their management program. And it's all like Chris said, it's all the same stuff. And it doesn't make them stand out, right? And so it's like you use that, it's not really valuable. Now, if you're sort of taking content ideas from other places, like maybe you're taking some sort of template and applying your own twist to it to make it clever or interesting, that's okay. That is more original than completely like syndicated content took from somewhere else. But if you can create something wholly original that people will think is clever or people will enjoy, Chris is right. That is absolutely the best.
Absolutely. And we got some good people, some people making some good points here in the comments. So we have, I don't know exactly who it is because they didn't click the link. So whoever's commenting these, make sure you click the link so we can see who you are and make sure to give you credit. Small lead gen agency considered going after insurance agents, but in my research, some agents say they're subject to compliance departments for each video or piece of content they want to post. How do you work around this issue? Thanks. And that's what we're talking about. How some companies require them to basically use hearsay or just pull from pre-approved content because they're, especially in the captive world, because they're worried about compliance and they know if they pull from that, they'll stay compliant. Honestly, it's not that hard to stay compliant. I mean, if you're not making promises, guarantees, not using trademark type stuff, and really being straightforward and educational and type stuff, and probably Medicare is one where you need to closely kind of follow the rules for sure. That may be a little more tricky, but in general, it's not that hard to be compliant. So I wouldn't worry about now. If a company requires someone to use certain content within their social or anywhere, then that's where really having a personal brand and personal content, like if you work for a captive company, is key.
Yes.
Have your own. Don't use your company's name. Do your own personal brand, your own personal naming of your brand, all that sort of stuff, and use your own content there. Still compliant to insurance, but that kind of gets around the company's specific. You need to use hearsay on anything associated with State Farm, for example. So I know Tyler talks about.
This is what I tell people all the time.
We'll dig into that a little bit more too. Someone saying, hearsay is clickbait. I don't know exactly if I'd say clickbait, but I can see that as it, someone saying it drops your rankings, it redirects other articles, so it comes across as potentially spammy. There's a lot of pros and cons. Pros is some content you can use. Cons is not the best content that you can use, especially since others are using it too. Someone says they noticed your shirt, Chris. So that is an awesome shirt. And let's go on the personal branding and even physical content that you can wear around that people can see as well. Although we're mostly talking about digital, and the hat. Chris,
but if you look at all of my videos now have my shirt, have my hat. I mean that because to me that was all part of the branding. I just took a picture this morning, put on my daughter on social media. I even had her shirt made, and she had my hat on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm doing a family photo for our website where my wife's got the shirt on as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Carry that branding through everything. Love it. And
so you got to be, like you said, you got to be consistent.
Absolutely. And someone made the good point, I think, in agreeing with you guys, that at the very least, take the content in the hearsay article and then write it on your own timeline. Do your own kind of post. Just don't pull the same stuff, like you said, Chris. And a lot less spammy, still compliant. Absolutely.
I'll give you an example. I'm doing a podcast for today on the dire dam situation, and I'm talking about Georgia. Well, I'm taking an article that the Associated Press did. I'm taking an article that AJC did. I'm pulling information out there. I'm pulling information from FEMA's manual, and then I'm putting my spin on those three sources for our podcast.
You're pulling information from FEMA, and it's related to the daddy daughter dances.
No, dams, like the AJC and the Associated Press.
Much less controversial topic. Okay, no. Yeah.
There's like 1,700 dams in the U.S. or in poor condition. Well, 200 of those are in Georgia, 168 are in North Carolina. So that's actually what my podcast is about today, is the dire dam situation.
Perfect.
And then I'm taking a dam failure from Nebraska that the Associated Press did an article on, and I'm comparing to what could happen in those other areas.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great content. It can definitely be centered and applied locally in those areas that have a bunch of dams in relation to them, and relates exactly to what you're doing. So,
and I'll say this: I do have a goal on this. Like, I'll do a generic piece of content where I'll just talk about dams for the podcast. Then I'll come back with a blog, and I might do dams in Tampa, Florida, for the blog or for a video. And so, yeah, I do some generic, and then I break it down per area.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. One of the things that we also would do with some of our customers is that we look, okay, where area do they live in, right? If they live up north, we write these small articles about making sure your pipes don't freeze over. How do you prevent that, right? Or snow tires or whatever it is. But coming out with these just content, and it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be super long, and a lot of this stuff is already written. So like you said, if you're going out and already finding stuff that you can just kind of put a different spin on and present it to your audience, right? As a subject matter expert, I mean, it just goes a huge, it just goes a long way. Absolutely.
Just do two things. Make sure you don't use copyright images.
That's right.
And make sure you give credit back to the original source.
Yeah.
And, you think everybody would kind of know that, but that is, people don't really think about it, don't really use it. There's plenty of places to grab really good quality and not overly used stock images that you can use for even commercial purposes. Make sure you have something that you can use for commercial purposes because you are using it for your business. And then make sure you don't just do a Google search and grab some image, or especially don't go grab some Getty image or something like that and use that without purchasing it and without having the rights to that, because they will come after you. It doesn't make you look professional, especially if there's a watermark still on it. You know, I've seen people on their business sites use an image that's watermarked, and I'm just, I don't know.
I saw somebody doing that. They was running an ad agency, and I was like, how are you going to give your ad agency any credibility using a watermarked photo?
It's like you can't afford to buy an image that you're going to use for running ads or like for promoting your own company. Like, at least go grab a good free stock image or whatever, something that you can use. But no, that looks horrible, and that just totally turns the trust off with your audience.
And I'll tell you what I started doing. I'm actually shooting all of my images as I'm doing videos now, and I'm keeping all those images inside of HubSpot and just using them in our own articles.
That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Like, you know, not that the reusability of content or the breaking down of content into multiple pieces of content when you're only having to do one piece, that it can be used in many different ways. And so that you really do have a ton of content that can just come from taking the time to produce one piece. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. And it was a good question and a fair question from Bradley in the comments about how much content is too much content. Is there such a thing? You know, and you know, how much kind of content should agents kind of look to do? Personally, I mean, I'll get your thoughts, Chris, but personally, I don't think there is such a thing really as too much content, especially as long as it's providing value. I mean, if it's not providing value, then yeah, certainly there's too much content. But I think if you're producing good pieces of content and stuff like that, you can put out multiple pieces a day. It depends on the platform probably too. But in reality, almost everybody's doing too little, not too much. And the people that you see and hear all over the place are the people that are doing lots of content. So I wouldn't worry too much about doing too much content. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, if anybody's doing too much content, it might be me. I'm doing 365 flood education videos in 365 days. I'm doing 150 flood blogs in 150 days, and I'm doing 100 podcasts in 100 days. And then next year, I'm committed to 1,200 pieces of content over the year.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what we call a lot of content. Is it too much?
But it's quality over quantity. As long as you're providing good quality content, nobody cares. But if you're providing garbage just to get it out there, you're actually hurting your brand.
Yep, absolutely. And it also depends. Like if it's you know, social, you're gonna want to be in front of that audience on a continuous basis. Stuff with algorithms gets pushed down over time, all that sort of stuff. But you know, if take a blog for instance, if you're doing blog content, it is way better to do a longer, in-depth, value-based bomb piece of content than to do a lot of just generic fluff that's short and doesn't really cover anything. The long, really good piece of content is going to have better opportunities at ranking. It's going to be more shareable. People are going to get value from it. No one wants to read little 200-word, you know, blog articles about nothing. So, you know, there's cases where just focusing and producing one really good piece of content that you can use in many different ways is way better than just trying to get something out.
My average blog is only about 500 to 1,000 words, but like I tell people, I would rather put a ton of those out than spend 3 weeks trying to write one piece of content. Because I said, look, take all the fluff out. If you're only providing 300 words, it's okay if it takes you 300 words to get your point across.
That's right.
But don't get stuck on, I got to have a 300,000 word article and you provide a bunch of crap.
That's right.
And that's the point. The point I was making wasn't just add a bunch of words to make it long.
Yeah.
The point was make sure it's, you know, value based and really providing enough. If you're making a blog on a very specific topic and you can cover that answer in depth and what you're going over in that 300-500 words, perfect. That's a valuable piece of content. But don't just write a couple sentences about nothing and put that blog out. And then vice versa, just because I said do a long, good piece of content, don't just add a bunch of words and fluff to make it that long. You're going to lose your audience. They're going to bounce. They're not going to read it anyways. So what good did that do you? You just spent a bunch of time on nothing. So make sure it's valuable or else it's not worth it. So
the only time I really recommend maybe short blogs is like if you're doing a description for a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Something like you're just doing show notes.
Yeah, and or if you did a video, dropping the video in with maybe a little write up of what's covered in the video, that's a good blog post. I mean, you got a little write up about it. You got the video embedded, which is great if you're taking it from video YouTube and embedding it on there, or Vimeo. Probably YouTube's better for SEO purposes, but I do like how Vimeo looks some too. So we'll talk about that stuff in a little bit, because I know
Vimeo's smart.
Yeah, I do have a question for Chris. So Chris, when did you realize that content was just would become such a big part of your business?
About 9 months ago, when I had someone reach out to me about a piece of content I wrote 6 months before.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, you know what I realized? I was like, look, yeah, I'm providing this content right now. Nobody might see it for 6 months, but the thing is, the content's always going to be out there. So if they ask the question in 3 years and they find my content, if I can keep providing this high quality content, we build just this massive library, these people are going to keep finding it. And you know what the biggest struggle was? But there's no company out there that runs lead gen for flood. And that's one of the reasons why I got into content. It's like, look, I'm tired of beating my head against the walls. This is how we're going to create our own flood content to create our own leads.
That's great.
Perfect. Let's see. We got a few more things here. Someone's green about the clever post on recreating an original post to make it your own. Yeah, if you're making your own, that's awesome. Let's see. What was the tool, David, that you said you can use to recreate content? I don't think I mentioned anything to recreate it. I was mentioning a good place to source content if you want to pull from some other areas that you can then create content from. And I believe it's Feedly, FEEDLY.com. It's a great place. You pick kind of you can pick insurance, like industry specific insurance sources, and it'll pull from those and put the most recent articles and different stuff there. It's a good place. Rather than go to a bunch of sites and searching what's new in there, it'll just pull it there, and you can grab something, and then you can go use that link on your post and write something about it. So
also, check out Answer the Public if you're struggling to create content.
I don't know that one.
Oh, Answer the Public. Let's just say you put flood insurance in there. It'll tell you every single question people are asking Google.
Interesting. That's
cool.
And then I'll go over the keywordtool.io, which was a tool that Nicholas Ayers turned me on into his video course. And it's been significant. It basically tells me, hey, these people are searching for these words on YouTube. These people are searching for these words on Google. And so then it helps with the keywords in the blogs. It helps with the tags in the video. And then I can pull that over to Facebook. I can pull that to Instagram with hashtags. And all of a sudden, you're competing with these big companies without spending a fortune.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's cool to check out. I'll have to check that one out. For life insurance type stuff, I think there's Life Happens, and that's, you can pull some source stuff off there. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like if you're using something simple, like you don't have to be any graphic designer or anything to create stuff too. Like Canva, you can take kind of nice templates, throw some images and some text and stuff, and you got a good graphic to use within your content.
I'm also not a big fan of green screens.
Yeah, I go back and forth on green screens. So why aren't you a fan of green screens?
Let's say that I'm a PNC agent and I'm shooting a video about medical payments. Then why don't I go shoot a video in front of an ambulance, in front of a stretcher? People can tell when you're in front of a green screen. When they see that ambulance or that stretcher, they're going to associate in their brain than they are if they see that green screen. And not only that, if they see maybe a trademark in the community behind you, hey, this guy's not standing in front of a green screen 4,000 miles away. He's standing in my neighborhood.
Absolutely. I mean, I think not getting out and about for different shooting locations or whatever is way more interesting to look at, and all those points you just made. So
I shot a life insurance video in a cemetery.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. I mean, that's perfect. So thinking about that sort of stuff as well. I mean, you don't have to, travel across the country, although Chris does for his stuff, but just in your local community, places you're going out and about anyways, shoot something. And people may ask, hey, what are you doing? Where are you shooting? And that's perfect, the opportunity to chat with them about what you're doing and stuff as well. Perfect time to ask if you do anything commercial to kind of shoot around local businesses and maybe start conversations with them, introduce yourself to them and stuff. Maybe even chat about them on your video. And so, a good way to make local connections with business owners. And there's a whole bunch of things you can do with content. So I'll
tell you someone who's doing really good with it right now with like shooting on location is Michael Overstreet, I think with Safe Street Insurance out in Arizona. Okay. He's done a really good job of getting, kind of away from that green screen. And like he shot one in front of a restaurant the other day. He shot one in front of a vehicle when he was talking about like comp and collision, uninsured motorist. Like he's shooting a lot of things that are resonating in people's minds and associating with that. And he's just a really good job from a PNC standpoint outside of ads. He's the best one I've seen so far that's doing it where he can associate with his local community well with it.
So, so what's your kind of mobile setup look like when you're shooting something, and versus if you're shooting something not on a location, maybe at your home or office spot to shoot one. And before you go into that, I do want to mention the link down below we put for Feedly. If you do want to check that out, you can check it out for a source. But yeah, what does your shooting stuff look like?
I don't shoot anything in my office.
All right.
I shoot everything on location.
What does your setup look like on location?
I've got my iPhone and my smooth mobile selfie stick, and I've got my DSLR camera with my tripod and my lapel mic, and that's it.
Keep it simple.
Like that's now, and I bought the camera last year. I said going through that video course that I did with Nicholas Ayers. While my phone's great, sometimes it doesn't bring me out as far as I need to if I'm trying to describe something. But then also discovered the opportunity to capturing my own content when it came to images and things. And so I'm actually taking a photography course in January from one of the local universities to get even deeper with it. But it's simple. I just keep my poop hat in my car that I wear in my videos.
Which we'll definitely have you bring for the next one so we can all
If you check out my YouTube channel, I've got some videos on there. Yep. And I even point to it and say crap happens.
We got his YouTube link up on the screen right now. So if you want to check out what Chris is doing on his YouTube, check that out. And also, we dropped in the comments Answer the Public, which Chris mentioned. So
I also run a Facebook public flood group too.
Okay.
Called Flood Insurance and Education. If anybody's interested, all I do is answer flood questions in there.
Perfect. Yeah. So PNC agents, anybody's looking to get more knowledgeable on flood and everything going on there, to possibly share with your audience too, check out what Chris is doing in there for sure. Yeah. Before you go, Renee, I do want to mention, I know a lot of people watch this on mobile and links aren't clickable on mobile during the lives. So if you just comment #MoreInfo, we'll get the links and everything we covered to you afterwards and after this. And I also do want to re-mention for the people that didn't hear at the beginning, I'll give away some Trip Value certificates and a free month of our insurance marketing toolkit for anybody who drops in the comments some pieces of content they've created or for their social or for anything really. We want to see what you guys are doing for your insurance business. So drop a link to it, or if it's an image, drop the image, or just comment what you've been doing for content. But go ahead, Renee.
Yeah. So Chris, what advice would you give those who are afraid to be in front of the camera?
I would tell them, hey, look, you got to start somewhere. And this is one thing. Like I said, I owe everything to like Nicholas Ayers when it comes to video, because that's actually one of the things he taught me. He makes you post these silly videos in his group. When you first start his group about dream vacations and dream beaches, but it's not about that information. It's about getting comfortable on the camera. Here's the other thing I would tell people: don't reshoot it 50 times. People don't want to see a script. People don't want to hear a script. People want to know that you're real. Someone jumped all over me about a Betterments video I did the other day, and they said, you called it Better Improvements. I said, because I'm trying to speak on the audience's level of what they understand. Well, it's this. And so I put a correction in there. I sold a policy 1,500 miles away off that Better Improvements video that had nothing to do with Better Improvements or Betterments. But I was just trying to break it down and make it simple, because that's what happens in the insurance industry. We assume that people understand terms.
Yeah. And that's an extremely important point too, is don't be a perfectionist. I mean, perfection and trying to get things perfect before you get stuff out just leads to nothing ever getting out, or just being way behind the curve and spending too much time on something that just would be better to get out. If you're covering the right points, if it's, you can hear the audio, you can see, and if it's a video and you're covering it and it's value-based, just get it out. Don't worry if you messed up a word. Don't worry if the audio was weird or a dog barked in the background at one point or something like that. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, content that isn't highly professionally produced actually sometimes, and actually a lot of times, performs better because people are used to seeing highly produced type content and just turning off in their minds that's an ad, someone reaching out, someone trying to sell them, as opposed to real content that doesn't look overly produced. And so that's why I love these Facebook Lives and stuff. It's one shot, it's one go. Yes, things go wrong, or someone's internet connection doesn't work, something like that, but we're getting the stuff out there. We're doing the live. We don't have to worry about tons of reshoots or a bunch of editing, all that stuff. We just go for it, And at the end, we got a recorded HD version of it and recorded audio only version. You can throw that on the podcast, you can throw it on the YouTube, and we'll talk about kind of breaking content down into a lot of different aspects. But I think that's
heck, I shot a video drinking spoiled milk a couple months ago, but thankfully I only had to do one take.
So Chris, let's talk about that. What do you have any funny stories or instances or anything when you're out shooting like on locations of anything popping up or happening or anything like while you were shooting that was interesting or unexpected?
Yeah, like, evidently, like my mic dies on me all the time, and I don't realize it until I get home from a 3-hour drive, and the next day I have to drive back 3 hours again to shoot the same content because my battery was dead.
Yeah. No.
Or where was I? Oh yeah, I was shooting on location at a river, and it had been raining a lot. The river's just rushing behind me, and I'm talking about flash flooding. Or the other day when it started raining on me, when I was talking about rain, I was like, look, I can't pay for this kind of content. It just happens.
That's right.
And that's great. I mean, and you never know what's going to happen. And I think that's just another benefit of shooting on a location is that you don't know what's going to pop up or happen. And when that stuff happens, it's entertaining too, and it captures people's interest. It's not this perfect video, but people don't want just a straight perfect video. They like being entertained too, why they're learning or why they're being sold. So I
shot a video on a mattress that Facebook shut me down for a month on it about 6 months ago.
They shut you down because it was on a mattress?
Yeah, because the title of the video was "How Firm Are You?" and I was talking about flooding insurance rate map.
The good old Facebook algorithm, fun stuff.
And I was like, it wasn't anything inappropriate in it.
No, yeah, Facebook just got that algorithm running, and if it spots something, there's no human that's gonna save you. So.
But LinkedIn sent it through the roof.
Yeah, they don't think they got the same content algorithm going on as Facebook. So
I dressed up as a grandfather a couple months ago, talking about grandfather rates. I tell people, say, look, I try to mix it up between looking like an idiot, providing great value, and also being professional. And I think you have to do that because you want to humanize it. People want to know that you're real.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's all about being real. I mean, that's how you build trust and connection with the audience. If they think you're fake, if they think you're just putting on a show or anything like that, or convincing them that you know something you don't or anything like that, you lost them. And people can see that. They don't fall for that. And if they do, it's not for long. So being real is, people work with people. People buy from people. They don't look for the company. They look for the person. So
I also tell people this: perfection is the death of implementation.
Absolutely. That's 100% true. So, I mean, you just got to get something out. Don't worry about it being crazy perfect or anything. Eric says he uses Toonly and Doodly for whiteboard and cartoon animation right now for content creation. Yeah, look at grabbing stuff like that. It makes it easy to create some content that's original and stuff. And that can be good content to put out. Thanks for sharing that.
How about L's comment?
And Jeremy's hopping on saying what's up. Thanks, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy, we'll get you on another one of these lives pretty soon too. The next kind of portion of this topic I want to talk about, and I think we've already discussed a little bit. And Chris, I think I know your opinion, and I want to hear this for sure on creating your own content versus syndicating or pulling from other sources and kind of doing your spin on that. What is kind of the pros, cons of each? Of taking the time and the effort to make your own content, which does take time or could cost depending on if you're flying across the country to go to a location or if you're getting a really nice video set up or something like that. What's the kind of pros and cons versus of creating your own versus just kind of pulling from other places, hearsay, life happens, or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you this: what I think is that value oversees professionalism when it comes to videos. Like, there's a lot of people done the $4,000 video versus the $400 video. At the end of the day, it's whichever video provides the value. So if that value comes through, maybe sharing someone else's content. If it comes to your original content. Now, what I'm doing is actually collaborating with a lot of insurance agents on content. So I'm working with an agent in North Carolina. We're working on putting a podcast together because there's a particular topic that we specialize on flood. There's a particular product that they specialize when it comes to commercial. And we want to talk about both sides of it. And we want to talk about how they kind of come together.
That's good.
No, that is good. And collaborations are great too. Like you're mentioning, if you're a PNC agent and you want to grab a health or life agent, collaborate, talking about some certain topics or different stuff, or even another PNC agent that maybe they're not focused in your area or your specialty. There's tons of collaborations. There's tons of ideas. Creating content together can be really good. Having more than one person in your content can be good. Seeing those interactions and stuff. So if you have a team, make sure you're kind of using them videos and stuff too. And I think that kind of brings up one of the things. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Is what about video content? I know, Chris, you want to talk about this. I think this has been one of the biggest things you're doing. There's a lot of types of content. You can throw up posts, you can do images, you can do blog posts, you can do a bunch of stuff, but video is killer. I think it's probably the best form of content, the most engaging, the most effective as far as communicating information, getting people to actually look at something. So, Chris, tell us a little bit, what do you think about video content? How important has that been? And do you like creating it?
Video content has basically taken us from nobody knowing about us in 9 months to now having a national brand in 50 states and soon Canada and even the UK. Video content is so powerful. And I've done video quoting and all that, but I didn't get really into video till November when I met up with Nicholas Ayers and I started going through some of the stuff he was providing and he was showing us. But then what happened is through that video content, I discovered, you know what? Google needs a way to recognize this video. So we need some text. People don't want to watch a video as much, maybe. They don't read a blog. Now, what about the podcast? So video was really the originator for all the other content. What I learned about video and how to use it, though, is really helped me in the other areas. I think video is so crucial. Video is, paid the next thing, but most people aren't doing it. And it's an easy way to use video to associate yourself with a client that might be 2,000 miles away, but they feel like you're next door.
Yep.
It's also a way to really speed up the sales process. It takes most of our stuff from 2 weeks to 2 days because I build CTAs into the videos and everything for them.
Perfect. Yeah. And you're doing so much video content that, I love it. I think it's great. I think it'd be used in a lot of ways. So, and that's one of the topics I did want to bring up too, was creating pieces of content that can end up being a bunch of pieces of content for you. Let's take, for example, even this video. So you shoot a live, and live is, you don't have to worry about retakes. You don't worry about perfectionism. You're just running a live. You do a live, you do good content, talk about great stuff in it, make it kind of entertaining, and the live is done. The live is done afterwards. You had hopefully an audience and people watching and engaging with it while you're doing it. But after it's done, you then have a recording of that. And then you can take that recording and you can, I think Chris is going to go grab his hat real quick. But you can take that recording and then you can drop that recording in YouTube. You can drop it in Vimeo. You can embed that from there within your site. You can send that video out through your email list on your social. And then you can take that video and you can even break it into portions if there's different sections or different questions or things you're covering during it. And then you have multiple pieces of content that are a part of that full piece of content. You can take that video or individual pieces of content and then just basically write out what you covered in it. And then you got blog posts to go along with each of those. You can even grab little graphics of quotes of that piece of content that you talked about in that video. And then you got other pieces of content from that. So just from creating one piece of content, you can have a whole series and be set for a week, a month, or whatever from what you've pulled out of that. So it's not, hey, you need to shoot a video every single day, although that can be pretty cool if you're doing it like how Chris is doing it. But you can shoot one good video and you can create a bunch of stuff out of it. So
you could create 5 blogs off of one video because the video could be generic, but you can still keep using the video when you're starting to break it down to local areas, especially when it comes to the tags and writing the blog. That's what I've done a lot.
We got the ghost of Chris talking here. He is not invisible. He's still around, but very good point, Chris. Yeah, so I think Chris, tell us a little bit about this hat here.
This is my crap hat because crap happens. I found it at Six Flags when I was there with my family a couple months ago, and everybody laughed at me for buying it. It cost me like $10, but I use it in half my videos now. I wear it around town. I wear it in a restaurant. I'm usually embarrassed my family, but like it's such an attention getter.
Oh yeah, I can see that definitely being an attention getter. I like it. It's perfect. I mean, I wear props all the time. I like this hat actually. I think I had it for my 30th birthday, and now I'm just gonna keep wearing it on things.
Now I just have to fight my 4-year-old daughter for it because she loves wearing it around.
That's true. That's true. Luckily, I don't have to fight anybody for this one, except maybe Renee when he comes in. But I think we did a good question for people that are just getting started. What do you recommend? Content can take so much time. What's a good goal to start with that's achievable, or kind of a good kind of content for them to focus on initially if they're just getting started?
Well, let me stop you right there. Content doesn't have to take a lot of time. I think that's a misconception. Like you said, I think these people are kind of brainwashed on that maybe 3,000 word blog or that 10-minute video. So you can put a 30-second to a minute video up. You can edit it. Now, the average amount of time it takes me to edit my videos is 5 to 10 minutes. Almost every one of my videos is 2 minutes or less. And it might take me 15, 20 minutes a day to do that. So don't get scared because of the amount of time. Like I tell people, you do put time away for things that are a priority. So like in the mornings, I spend from 7:30 in the morning till 9 every morning, I work on my content. And then I start my day. And then I usually spend like an hour a day a week shooting content, but I shoot for the whole week. So it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Sometimes people are just overthinking it. But putting something short out there and it gets to the point is better, like you said, than a 30-minute video that people are just bored with.
So what is one thing that someone can do today if they've never provided or produced any content, excuse me? One thing they can do today.
Pull your camera out, turn it around, and just start talking about whatever it is that you feel that is important to your audience. And it doesn't have to be insurance related. When I started this journey, I started visiting a bunch of restaurants across the country, and I started going Facebook Live as I was eating, trying the food. And what happens then, they start seeing my shirt, they associated it with other restaurants. And I had restaurants out in Colorado say, hey, when you come back, we'd love for you to try our restaurant. But what happens is people see me trying these restaurants, they see the brand, and there's nothing related to insurance there. So like you said, maybe you're in your community working with businesses, and that's how you can do it. It doesn't have to be insurance, and that's where I think people get stuck as well. But what happens is when you're doing all that, it still kind of builds you up as that brand. So when people come, people don't always want to watch insurance videos, and it kind of mixes it up there.
They don't spend all their days watching these insurance videos and everything. It blows my mind.
And it's just like realtors too, and that's why almost all of our videos are 2 minutes or less, and it's why every one of our podcasts is 10 minutes or less.
Exactly. It's knowing your audience and what you're covering and your niche and stuff as well is important. If you're doing if you're in some niche, outside of insurance that's entertainment focused, yeah, sure. If you're doing an entertaining video for 30 minutes, someone will sit down and they'll watch that, sure. If you're doing something like insurance, yeah, short form can pretty much for the most part be a better option because you're trying to capture attention quickly and get a point across rather than making a 30-minute or hour-long video where we cover a bunch of things, break them into shorter pieces. And so along with that, for initial content piece of things to do, like Chris is saying, like, yeah, take the video and film yourself. But a good place to start is just frequently ask questions from your audience and your customers and clients and prospects. What do you hear a lot? What do they ask about a lot? What do they not understand? Just shoot a short video explaining it. Bam. You got a good video, valuable to your audience, put it out there, share it. And that's, frequently asked questions and content like that should keep you busy for a while. There's plenty of stuff.
I'll never run out of content because of questions.
Exactly. If anybody's going to run out of content, it would be Chris with as much as he's doing, and he's not even concerned about it. So the fact that he's not even concerned about it on a very specific niche like flood insurance and doing videos and blogs every day, you should never have to worry about running out of content.
Like today, today is number 319. Who would have thought 319 floods, 319 videos about flood?
Wow.
Yeah. And so let's and I think Darlene hopped on, or Delene hopped on and made a good point. She's like, really need to be here today. I'm one of the overthinkers and learned to hate the marketing side. I'm not crippled though. I'm still building my knowledge on marketing. And yeah, it doesn't have to be as scary, this big thing. And some people are afraid of videos because they feel like it's not gonna be perfect, or they don't want to, be on camera and type stuff. Don't be afraid. It's perfect, and it's the best way to build your audience. And sometimes it's weird because those people are the people that love face-to-face and meeting up with a customer and taking them through and leading them through something. And doing a video is essentially just kind of a virtual face-to-face. Just imagine you're talking to a prospect or client. Just imagine you're talking to one. If the idea of talking to a bunch at once, kind of scares you a bit, the video is just you talking to, a prospect or client that's going to be watching or listening to it. So don't let it scare you.
Like I tell people, we're not insurance agents. We are marketing companies that just so happen to offer insurance.
Exactly.
And if you don't think of it that first way, people are going to stop coming in your door. You've got to find a way to get them in there. That's the marketing point. It just so happens that insurance is the product they're coming in the door for. But how do you think they got through the door? Marketing.
Absolutely. So, Chris, and this is probably a good thing to kind of talk about at the end and everything of this, because I know we're getting kind of close. And we'll definitely do some more of these because content's so important and there's just so much to cover about it. But let's talk about the effect content has personally had on your business, the Flood Insurance Guru, and the opportunities that have spouted out of that, as well as the ones that you have upcoming this week, that you had mentioned. So let's hear a little bit about that.
All right, so last November, I decided to commit just to Flood. It's like, I'm going to walk away from P&C over the next 5 years. So I'm going to set this 5-year goal of eventually being out P&C, slowly letting our book go away. And so I committed a video. I did a 30-day video challenge last year. It was kind of a competition with Ryan Hanley had done 100 in 100 days. I was like, I want to just do a 30 in 30 days, just see what happens. When I did that, I started seeing how video could impact my business. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do 365 flood education videos in 365 days this year. And so I started doing that. I said, but I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to travel the country, addressing the local issues and answering the local questions. And what happened is it took a 5-year plan of leaving P&C and turned it into possibly a 2-year plan. I never could have imagined that we would write $500,000 in flood premium our first year committed fully to flood. And so that's the impact it's had on our business. But then getting into the video, of course, it's taught me how to blog. It's taught me how to podcast. Now it's taught us about all this content that people are, all these captive agents are coming to us. We're working with them. We're helping resolve them for insurance. I didn't really think I would be able to create a flood consulting company, but offer the videos. And now I have. Wow. The videos have also helped us build a knowledge-based articles on our website. Somebody goes to our chat bot and they say, hey, I'm looking for flood insurance on mobile homes. So it recognizes the keyword flood insurance mobile homes, and it sends them a list of videos from our YouTube channel that are just related to mobile homes.
That's great, Chris. That's awesome.
So, Chris, what do you got coming up?
Let's see. Well, tomorrow, Monday, I'm doing a phone interview with Insurance Journal. On Tuesday, I'm shooting content in Savannah, Georgia. On Wednesday, I'm in Charleston sitting down with Johnson & Johnson. And then on Friday, I'm meeting with another flood carrier. And then I'm doing an interview with Emergency Management Weekly. And then I think I've got an interview coming out with Inbound Success on Monday. And we've already done an interview with Hubcast, which is HubSpot's podcast. We did one with Film School for Marketers. We did one, I said, with Inbound Success that's supposed to come out on Monday. And I've done one with Jason Cass's podcast, Agency Intelligence, which is great. Blip, which is Josh Berg, Agency Nation. I've done a couple with Insurance Guys podcast, and I've done one with Insurance Dudes. And so I think that's what people miss out too. Being a guest on these podcasts, it's huge for your business because the amount of money they're putting behind their podcast. And by them having the links on their sites and linking back to your site, it's those authority links. And, if you want to become an authority in a niche, and like they say, niches or riches, that's what you kind of got to do so people know.
Niches or riches. It's a good one.
Niches or riches. Love it. And so with all that press and all that being on these different content pieces and getting in front of these people's audiences and everything, how much do you attribute that to your content creation and production and everything you've done with that? Has that just opened doors through people finding out about that, learning about that, and being like, hey, we want to hear more about this, and just expanding your influence? And has that kind of come from your content?
It's all come from my content, but like as I said, I wouldn't have known. There's all these different courses out here that kind of teach, but I wouldn't have known any of that had I not gone through these courses. And these courses have been significant for me. So, Made You Look video was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, completely changed my business forever. Yeah, and I'm not even doing a lot of the paid ads that most people are. It's just the way the strategies it's shown me how to use. Like people see our Facebook stuff all over the country, and I don't pay a dime for it. Because what happens is we're friends with a lot of other insurance agents, either on LinkedIn or Facebook, and they're captive agents, and they're sharing our information with their audience because they understand that we're not competing with them. We don't offer anything but flood. For example, some of my best videos or videos that have nothing to do with insurance, but actually walking a customer through the disaster assistance process after they lost everything to a flood and didn't have flood insurance.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people come to us. And that's why they're sharing our content. Like, look, you're sharing content that has nothing to do with you selling me something.
And that's great. And people love that type of content. They can really tell that you're passionate, that you're, out to help, you're out to educate. And that's what builds trust. I mean, they really want to work with people like that. So that's important. And you're talking about these courses. I've been meaning to talk to Nicholas, so I probably should talk to him a little bit. And I know you're doing YouTube. A lot of agents are just like starting to get their toes wet into Facebook and social much, and then even less into like Facebook ads and stuff. But YouTube, I feel like it's not even on a ton of agents' radars, even because a lot of them don't even do video. So that's part of it. But so you got a ton of stuff on YouTube. You got a ton of videos, that you're doing on there and everything on there. And then I think you're even doing YouTube ads and been doing those. What's your been?
I'm doing a different approach than most people. I do a lot of Discover ads, but I do it because whenever a new flood map comes out for an area, we put the video out 6 months in advance because we get a hold of the map 6 months in advance. And we actually educate people, not on buying something from us, but hey, this is what's happening in your area. This is the process you need to go through. If someone's telling you this is not the correct process, you need to double check it. And what happens is when they get about a week out and they got a letter from their mortgage company, they remember seeing us and reach out to us. Say, look, you're the only one that was willing to provide all this information to us ahead of time. Everyone else is just trying to sell us something now. And now for me, the ad spend has been very low because some of the keywords that I can use that others are not, there's not a lot of competition for. And I mean, that's what's worked out really well for us.
That's great.
But I even have a playlist on my YouTube channel just for insurance agents to help them understand flood zones, help them understand elevation certificates. When are they needed? When are they not? What loan types can accept private flood? What loan types can't? How do you dispute with a bank? The bank's got one flood zone, we've got another one. How do we agree? I've got all this stuff on my YouTube channel just for insurance agents.
That's perfect. So yeah, I mean, you're both helping insurance agents as well as the consumer as well. I mean, how much of your business is coming through those insurance agents and strategic connections versus just you directly having prospects come through?
Probably 60%.
Nice, not bad. All that coming through.
But we build a unique automation for them. So when they do come in, we build a link that is just built for that agency. So all they do is submit the form. And what happens is when the customer submits the form or they resubmit the form, it redirects the customer to leave that agency a review that's referring us. And then it sends that customer a thank you card in the mail from that agency. And through all that, the customer's getting a video saying, hey, we're helping you with the flood insurance. John Smith from so-and-so agency referred you over. We're a partner with them because this is what we specialize in. And so we go through all that with them and show them the kind of partnership there. And what happens is that agency has given us a dedicated email for them. So as we're moving the customer through the process, that agency is getting emails, quote sent, quote finalized, all these things. And it's keeping the agency involved without them having to do the effort to follow up with the customer.
Awesome. That's perfect. And thanks so much for joining us today with all this. And I want to definitely have another one to talk about some more content. We dive into some specifics on some stuff too, on probably just having one all about video content. I think that would be a great one to dive into, show some clips of some of the stuff you've done, some of the interactions, engagement that come out of that, and really kind of, what your process looks like as far as coming up with the topic, and then how you're going to cover that topic as part of the video, where you decide to shoot. And I'd like to know how you edit those things in like 5 minutes. Would be
I use iMovie for everything.
iMovie and just quick.
Somebody goes, man, they look so good. I said, it's really simple. I just throw the logo on top of the video and then I add the text on there. It takes me usually 5 minutes. Unless I'm doing a jump shot, it may take me about 10 or 15 minutes.
Awesome. So thanks so much. I did promise to give out a few prizes. So Bradley Bell had a good question, and Eric Katzemir had good stuff as well. So I'll send both of you guys some AAA certificates, and Bradley, I'll just give both of you guys a free month of the Insurance Marketing Toolkit too. So I'll reach out and contact you guys, make sure to get you those prizes. Thanks for being here, everybody in the comments, some really good questions, some really good points. And thanks, Chris, so much for helping share on the importance of content and how important it's been for you. We love your videos, we love your content, and seeing you do that. So continue to please drop that in the group, because agents really do like seeing all that and seeing what you're doing, and they can learn from you and what you're doing for sure. So thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your time, and hope everything goes well with all the future travel and all the podcasts and all the interviews and everything. And hopefully we can meet up and grab a drink later in December.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thanks everybody, and everybody have a great rest of your week and weekend, and hope you guys all kill it through the rest of the year. Thanks.